Last Sunday, when the election was announced, opposition leader Anthony Albanese declared his party was ready to assume government. In response to accusations that he himself lacked the economic credentials, he came up with an excellent suggestion.
Scott Morrison wants to make the economy a major focus of this campaign. What do you say to voters who believe the coalition is a safer pair of hands than a Labor government?
Look at the facts.
And those facts became apparent just the very next day. Even if you don't like Albanese personally, you can't help but wince when you see this.
Do you know the official cash rate off the top of your head?
Oh, look, we can do the old Q&A stuff over 50
but
different...
do you know it?
Over 50 different figures.
National unemployment rate.
National unemployment rate at the moment is, I think it's 5.4. Sorry, I'm not sure what it is.
What's the official cash rate? What's the unemployment rate? Oh, details. Anyway, that set the tone for Albanese's first week of the campaign, and to say it was a shocker is an understatement. And call us old-fashioned here on Outsiders, but don't good economic managers make sure their policies are economically viable?
Anthony Albanese today pledged a $135 million trial of bulk bill clinics to relieve the pressure on hospital emergency departments.
Labor will roll out 50 GP-led enhanced Medicare urgent care clinics around the country.
And I will make it easier to see the doctor. It's my fully costed plan for a better future.
But in the less loving arms of the press pack, he came under pressure over costs.
This policy has been costed, like all of our policies, by the Parliament. But this has been fully costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office.
No, they have not. Shadow Finance Minister Katie Gallagher later tweeted, "The costing of Labor's urgent care centre policy is based on work done by the Parliamentary Budget Office, but for the avoidance of any confusion, has not been formally costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office."
So just to clarify, when we say this multi-million-dollar policy has been fully costed, we actually mean that it hasn't been fully costed at all. We haven't provided you, the voter, with a full costed policy because we didn't want to confuse you. I hope that clears things up.
I don't know, Rita, maybe they just knew too much. But if incoherence on the economic front wasn't bad enough, Albanese compounded this with incompetence on the border protection front. Have a look.
If people smugglers seek to take advantage of an incoming Labor government and do send more boats, will you be tough on boat turnbacks and will you consider an offshore resettlement deal?
We'll turn boats back. Turning boats back means that you don't need offshore detention.
The leader's office has clarified his statement, saying the party has no plans to walk away from the policy.
Oh, God. So just to clarify, folks, when Anthony Albanese, the so-called future Prime Minister, says we don't need offshore detention, he actually means I support offshore detention. And wait, there's even more clarifications.
Can you promise Australians that you are across the details of the economy, or are you out of your depth?
I'm absolutely across the economy and what we need to do, which is why I have a practical plan to deal with the economic challenges that Australia faces. I have an economics degree from Sydney University. I studied both orthodox economics and political economy. I spent 4 years there doing it, and then I became an economic policy advisor to the Hawke government.
An economics policy advisor? It turns out the Albanese dictionary contains a remarkably wide definition of this title.
Do you think that your role as a research officer for Tom Uran really constitutes an economic advisor to the Hawke government?
I was employed as an economic policy advisor to a minister in the Hawke government. That's not a surprise, that's just a fact.
Sorry, fact check, as they say. As the Australian newspaper reported, Albanese was indeed an electorate officer, not a ministerial advisor. Big difference to the hard-left MP Tom Uren, who was in the Hawke Outer Ministry, and by the way, was also opposed to an awful lot of the Hawke government's reforms. The closest Albanese would have gotten to being an economics advisor in that office would have been collecting money for the Christmas drinks.
Now, if I recall correctly, isn't Anthony Albanese a big believer in being frank and answering questions?
What we have from this government is no agenda, no ideas. A government that doesn't believe that it should have to answer questions either here or in press conferences.
I can promise you this, I will always tell it straight. I won't run and hide from responsibility. I won't go missing when the going gets tough.
So to clarify again, when you say I won't go missing when the going is tough, actually means yes, I will go missing when the going gets tough.
What we have from this government is no agenda, no ideas. A government that doesn't believe that it should have to answer questions either here or in press conferences.
Incoherent, inept, and clumsy. Good luck if you think you can shrug that off by pretending you're hip and happening.
Do you concede that you've got less chance of winning the election today than 2 days ago?
Look, yesterday I made a mistake as I quoted the Ramones on day one of the campaign. So here's a Taylor Swift comment for you. My theory is shake it off.